All right, here we are again. Today, the center of this video will be around this little Kioti RT2560R tiller. Basically, it's just a 60-inch reverse tine tiller. Reverse tine, we bought that. Salesman said it would work best for tilling up the clay soil, and I guess I can't argue. It's working fantastic tilling up the soil. It's definitely slow. It's super slow going. I mean, you definitely wouldn't be farming with this thing, that's for sure. But just for some food plots and little garden plots, it works good. Can't really compare it to a forward tine tiller because I've never used one on a tractor. For forward tine tillers, I guess in the past I've used, human operated ones, and it was kind of like a buck and bronco on hard soil. When the blades are out front pulling forward, it was hard to get it to dig in, and it would want to bounce off the ground. And then the next evolution after that, we saved up and we bought a little self-propelled tiller that was a reverse tine, and that thing worked good. But it was only like 36 inches wide, or maybe not even that, 30 inches wide, whatever it was. And we still have that tiller, and we may use it back in the woods, or maybe once we get a garden going, use it in between rows. But for tilling up a food plot for deer, that's still way too much work. But anyhow, this is the tiller we got. I mean, people warned me. They said, yeah, you don't want to buy a reverse tine tiller because if it hits something in the ground, it kind of sucks itself down in there. Well, we haven't had any issues yet. And have we hit stuff? Yeah, I've hit roots, and the thing just kind of jumped up. Hit roots on a pine tree, and the whole tiller jumped up, and you could feel it. I mean, the whole tractor kind of rocked a little bit. And then I caught a pipe up that I didn't know was there, a big metal pipe, but there's like a slipper type plate in there, and the thing made this high-pitched crazy squeal noise. And I shut it off immediately, dug the pipe out, and it worked just normal again right after that. Okay, right now I got a couple issues, and it's really unfortunate. My neighbor come over, and he was putting in some turnip and winter rye food plots. And I don't know if he's putting in winter peas but anyhow, that's beside the point. He asked, I was going to be gone for a couple weeks from up here, so I wouldn't be using it. And he asked if he could borrow the tiller. Well, that's all right. I want to be neighborly. So he brings it back, and the first thing I notice is this flap is hanging down. Okay? Now, this flap goes up on here, and, with the tines going the way they go, if you don't have this flap on, it's going to pelt you and throw all the dirt onto the back of the tractor. And, well, that's just not feasible. It's basically inoperable without this thing on. But somehow he managed to rip this thing off. I've been using this thing for 2 years with no issues. And I don't know, he used it on maybe an acre's worth of plots. And somehow he managed to rip it off. Okay, you can see where it literally ripped off. I have no idea how you do that. No idea. And then you see this side. This is, all I got here is a drill and drill bits and a tin snips. So basically, I tried to put new holes on the other side because it had ripped the rubber out here. So I could just flip it over and bolt this thing back on, which I think will work. But basically this winter I see online they sell rubber flaps for snow plows that are roughly the same as width as this, and they sell them in like 9-foot rolls, and I've seen them for like $40, and they're thicker. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get one of those and cut holes in and bolt that on and use that. Although I do think this will work once I get it bolted back on. But the other one being thicker, I think would be more durable. But I still have no idea how he managed to rip this thing off, and it's super disappointing, because if if anyone's breaking my stuff, I'd like it to be me. And then he broke this little stand. Now basically this stand, the guy flips it down when you take it off the tractor, and it seems to make it easier for hooking it back up, you know, because it doesn't let it tilt that far forward. Well, when he brought it back, you know, and it's cracked. It's actually cracked because way he had it, it was and it actually took some of the paint off the side of this cover from the way he had it, so it must have foobarred it right away. I imagine he left it down, started tilling, and it bent the thing way back, and then he obviously must have noticed it, shoved it back up here, and it was bent to the point where it was touching this, and that's cracked. So obviously I'm gonna have to take this off, weld it, and maybe I'll repaint it a different color so it's more obvious. But it's just disappointing that he would wreck this stuff. And basically, you know, he talked about the flapper. He said he was just tilling and it came down, but he didn't mention nothing about this. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to cause a big stink and gripe about it, right? But, you know, I told him, I go, that's, you know, that I was disappointed. I'm like, hey, man, you know, usually the thing is you borrow something from someone and you give it back in a little better condition than you borrowed it, you know. Maybe, I know if I would have borrowed this from someone, I would have hosed her down and washed her up after I was done with it at least. I definitely wouldn't have gave it back broken. But I guess it is what it is. I don't really have hard feelings about it. But I will say, the next time he asks to borrow it, the answer is going to be no. So I guess it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to bolt this on, and then maybe I can show you this tiller a little in action. Not really too much I can say about it. It's a very simple piece of equipment. Basically, you got the gear drive, you know, the PTO goes in, spins the shaft, spins some gears, spins the tines. You definitely don't want to use this in tall grass, obviously. I don't know that needs to be stated. Although I still did it once. I was like, oh, there's only one strip there, and the grass is like 3 foot tall, and I'm like, maybe if I just kind of edge into it, I can get it. And it tilled it up fine, but I had to spend 20 minutes after I was done tilling it, cutting the grass off from around the shaft that the tines are on. All right, I'll put this thing back together and then I'll show you this thing in use. All right, I got the front rubber flapper on. It's not as pretty as it was when it was on the other way because it didn't have all these holes, but this is what I got to work with, so this will work. I guess we ain't in a beauty contest here anyhow. You see the angle of that PTO shaft. Because of that, before I turn it on, usually I drop it down. You can turn it on and it spins, but it makes like a clunking noise, probably just due to the severe driveline angle there. So I don't think that's good for it, so I don't turn it on when it's all the way and when the 3-point's all the way up. I usually lower it down and then I kick the PTO on. Basically what I got to till here, be a nice easy till. It's a section I tilled up earlier for winter rye, and I'm just gonna re-till it up a little bit because I'm not using any Roundup or anything to take care of the weeds. I'm just gonna do another quick till, and then I'll spread the winter rye on it, and it should be good to go. But I just wanted to show a little bit of the tiller in action. I was at a loss for words there. All right, I'll jump in the tractor seat and show you how I turn this thing on. Like I said, I lower it down a hair, right about there. So I'm at about 7 on the front of the lever. Then you push in the clutch, So the clutch is in. Oh, a chunk of dirt found its way up here. And sometimes if the PTO doesn't go in, I move the tractor head just a hair, and then it goes in super easy. Okay, and then for tilling, I always put it in low. And now I always have it in idle when I engage the PTO. And I'll engage it. Alright, she's spinning now. Okay, now I always rev it up to the 540 for the PTO. They have the energy efficient one, basically just less RPMs. I don't know, that makes no sense to me, but whatever. Let's rev her up. Give or take. Okay, now I usually lower it down until I start seeing dirt flying. Okay, that seems pretty decent. Feeling pretty good there. Found a stone, if you heard that. Might be a little deeper than I wanted. I'll go up a little bit. See, that might be a little, no, that ain't so bad. Alright, I'll get an angle of it from the side. Alright, I did the one pass through the already tilled dirt that was tilled a couple weeks ago, but I want to show you. I'll cut another chunk of this grass out, another 60-inch chunk I'll till up, and I'll show you how it does through a previously untilled section. So as you can see, it tills it up pretty nice and easy. Alright, here's what the tilling ended up looking like. Alright, you can see where I tilled the grass here. Basically it just ripped it up in big clumps because of my clay soil. And normally what I'd do, I'd wait a week, come through, re-till it, and it would break that all down, and it would basically look like it looked over there before I tilled it the second time. I'm tilling like this. For me personally, it's never eliminated all the weeds, and in fact it probably brings up an entire new seed bank, so you get a few more plants growing than you had before. But I would say I seem to have like 90% success if I till it about 2 times. It seems like maybe when I plant, say I plant winter rye, maybe 10% of my field or less will be weeds, and the rest of it will be what I wanted to grow, and I don't have to use any chemical. So I kind of like the thought of not using chemicals, but some fields I definitely use the chemicals. You know, like say you're planting clover or more expensive seed, you definitely don't want to be have a field full of weeds. You want a field you can be proud of, that's going to serve its purpose and animals are going to like. But this is what it looks like. This is a soil, and it's kind of unique. If you look down here, you see it's all clods. The whole ground, let me break that up. In the heat of summer, being it's clay soil, it literally cracks and you get all these crevices, and the entire ground is like that. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And my plan is to take this whole field. I was gonna try and get a lot of those willows eliminated. One of these summers when I have time, I want to get this whole field tilled, and I want to plant it all into native grasses like Indian grass, blue stem, switchgrass, and then I would basically just leave it and go into like a controlled burn pattern. So I was thinking the whole field would be those native grasses, and maybe 10 foot on the outside I'd maybe do like a clover, a crimson clover, some kind of clover that I could just mow and maintain, and then it'd make it easier, because if I do the native grasses every 3-4 years, I'd have to do a controlled burn on it, and it'd just be easier to have a nice little fire break. And I'm not sure, you know, I got a few decent trees out here that I wouldn't mind keeping. But anyhow, back to the tiller here, which is the subject of the video. All right, you look in the ground here, it's probably a little wetter than I would have liked to till it, but it obviously worked. It tilled it, and you can see the chunks from it being heavy clay. But it's wetter than I would have liked, but you got to get while the getting's good. It's rained the last like 2 out of 3 days here, and there's more rain in the forecast tonight. So I was worried I wasn't gonna get another chance to get in here, and the getting was pretty good because I can drive on it without getting stuck right now. If you notice these clumps or these rows of ridges, that's from me having the tiller set too dang deep. So that's my fault. If I go slow and I pay attention and watch the tiller, you can get the field almost perfectly smooth. But that obviously was not the case this time. Another thing I noticed, if it's dry out and I'm tilling this clay, if I try to go too fast, I'll get like a washboard effect. And that sucks, because then you actually got to till the field across that. You got to change your direction and till across it to get rid of it. Otherwise it just gets worse and worse and worse. So, but that seems to me, and my theory, again, I'm no tiller expert, but my theory, it seems I get that when I'm going too fast on the hard ground. And then another thing I've kind of heard about, but I haven't got to see yet, people telling me that after a couple times of tilling in the clay soil, you actually get like it'll actually start retaining water, because you make kind of a hard pan under the area where you're tilling, and then they got to take a subsoiler, just like a subsoil blade, hook it on your tractor and rip the ground up underneath to break that hard pan. But I haven't had any issues like that yet. Basically every place I've tilled and I've put into my program where I'm adding more organic matter, like doing the winter rye, the buckwheat, or the sunflowers, or the clover, and just keep putting it back into the soil. Like in this one, I actually had some corn growing in here, and it got stunted by frost this spring. So boy, about 3 weeks ago I tilled it in, and I mean, that's a fair amount of matter to put in the soil. So I wouldn't consider it a complete failure. But anyhow, back to where I was, I haven't had any issues with having the hard pan underneath the tilled area. Every place that I've been tilling has actually drained and done. Dog, he's helping me with my water issue. He's draining one of them puddles. but he's actually it's drained better, and I haven't had the issues with the ground cracking like I do in areas where I've not touched it. So I'm gonna seed some winter rye into this just to get another shot at some organic matter in here, and then the deer can have some soft greens to eat as it gets cold, and then in the spring when it warms up, that stuff should green up, be one of the first things to green up, give them a nice little snack, help recover from winter. But that basically covers, again, I'm no tiller expert, but I went over a few things I know about the tiller. I'm just a simple maintenance, you know, keep things greased that need grease and keep oil where it's supposed to be oil. And so far it's run pretty flawless. The clutch is, that slip clutch has saved me. I guess there's you can't really see much in there, but you can basically see what it kind of looks like. My new flapper obviously ain't working as good as the old one. I got a fair amount of dirt up on the back of the tractor, but maybe as time as it weighs down. But basically this will be a backup flapper. I'm thinking from now on I'm going to try and make a new one, and I'm going to make it a little wider and use a thicker material. But again, I have no idea how you rip that thing off of there. No idea. That one will hopefully forever be a mystery to me, because if I find out how it ripped off, that pretty much means I've just ripped it off. So hopefully I don't find out how it ripped off. But I guess that's enough rambling on this old tiller. I just want to do a quick video because I've used it multiple times and I don't think I've ever talked about it. So there she is. Any adjustments? Basically, I've just got this shoe in the lowest position there is, just because I wanted to make sure I could use all the tiller if I wanted. If I don't want to till so deep, I just raise up the 3-point. But I guess there may be some uses for that I haven't, that I'm not experienced enough to realize yet. And if there is, you know, maybe someone can let me know in the comments why you would want to move the shoe all the way to the top. But I don't really know, so I can't really comment too much on that. All right, there it is. That's what I know, and what I know is what I know, and that's about all I know. All right, well, thanks for watching. That it's really not the most efficient way to kill weeds, but it works. So my dog here, he's wanting to be a camera hog. Either that or he has an itch, one of the two.